You probably know her as a professor, a political commentator, and of course, a star of The Real Housewives of Potomac. But Dr. Wendy Osefo is now facing a very different kind of spotlight. We're going to break down the shocking arrest and the serious charges that have turned a reality TV storyline into a real-life legal drama. To really get the full picture here, let's rewind just a few months. This past August, Wendy's husband, Edward, posted this really heartfelt message for their 14th wedding anniversary. It was this big, public declaration of a strong, loving partnership, what they called a blessed life. And then that picture-perfect image just shattered. Only 2 months after that anniversary post, the couple was taken into custody. And suddenly, that narrative of a blessed life collided head-on with some very serious allegations of fraud.
To understand why these allegations are so stunning, you have to look at the public persona Dr. Wendy Osefo has so carefully built, a profile of serious accomplishment that makes this whole story so surprising.
According to sources like Bravo and People magazine, Wendy Osefo is so much more than just a reality star. She's a political analyst you've probably seen on TV, an entrepreneur, a former professor at Johns Hopkins University, and a mom of 3. She even made history as the first Black woman to get a PhD in her field from Rutgers Camden.
Okay, so let's get into it. How on earth did this celebrated couple end up facing felony charges? Well, according to the official report from the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, it all started right after a vacation.
On April 7th of this year, the Osefos called the police. They claimed that while they were away, their home in Finksburg, Maryland had been broken into, and they told the officers that a whole bunch of items were just gone.
And we're not just talking about a few missing things. The couple allegedly gave police a detailed list of nearly 80 separate items they claimed were stolen. They were painting a picture of a really significant and violating loss.
The scale of this alleged theft was huge. According to that Sheriff's Office report, detailed by CBS Baltimore, the total value of everything, and we're talking luxury goods, designer clothes, expensive jewelry, was estimated at over $200,000.
But here's where the story takes a sharp turn. Once detectives started digging into the couple's claim, the report of a straightforward burglary allegedly started to fall apart.
Authorities say their investigation very quickly started to uncover some major discrepancies, things that cast serious doubt on the Osefos' version of what happened. Okay, so here's the first major red flag that investigators reported. The couple claimed all these luxury items were stolen, but police alleged that over $20,000 worth of those exact same items had actually been returned to the stores for a full refund before the date of the supposed break-in.
And then there was this, another critical piece of alleged evidence. The sheriff's office also alleges that some of that expensive jewelry reported stolen was seen again. They claim to have found pictures of Wendy Osefo wearing some of that very jewelry after the date she and her husband said it had been stolen.
So, how did all these findings escalate from a simple burglary investigation into a grand jury indictment? Well, the consequences of these alleged discrepancies turned out to be incredibly severe. The timeline here is both swift and serious. The burglary was reported back on April 7th. Then, just 6 months later, on October 9th, a grand jury decided there was enough evidence for a trial, indicted the couple, and they were arrested. By the very next day, October 10th, they had posted bond and were released from jail.
The indictment that followed was extensive. According to the Westminster Police Department, as reported by People magazine, Wendy and Edward Osefo are now up against a total of 16 separate charges, all related to this one incident.
And these charges are really significant. Of those 16 counts, 7 of them are felonies. And a felony, is the most serious category of crime. The court documents specifically say these are for providing false or misleading information for fraudulent purposes.
So, what was the alleged motive for all of this? Well, according to prosecution documents cited by both TMZ and People, it all seems to stem from an insurance claim. The alleged value of that claim was a staggering $450,000. So, with the story out in the open and the charges filed, where does this leave Dr. Wendy Osefo and her husband right now? Well, it's absolutely critical to remember a foundational principle of our legal system as this case moves forward.
Look, the couple is accused, but they have not been convicted of anything. In the eyes of the law, they are presumed innocent. The burden of proof rests entirely on the prosecution. It is their job, and their job alone, to prove these allegations beyond a reasonable doubt.
As of right now, the Osefos are out on bond, and this really complex legal battle is just getting started. What we've talked about today are the initial allegations and the charges that have thrown this case into the public spotlight. The full story? That's only going to be revealed inside a courtroom.
This case sits right at this fascinating and pretty tense intersection of celebrity, reputation, and the law. And it leaves us with one essential question. As the legal process unfolds and their public lives hang in the balance, what happens when a reality star's biggest drama isn't on television, but in the court of law?